Welcome to my video. Today, we'll be discussing the power scaling of Dragon Ball Super, starting with the Battle of Gods and the resurrection of Frieza arcs. First of all, let's address the situation about the different adaptations. There's the movie version and there's the anime and manga versions. Even though all of them follow the same overall storylines, they all have different details. So what I am going to do is to pick the ones I think are the best for the power scaling, making it a mixed bag of every adaptation, but also, I want to have a lot more creative freedom about the story too. So from now on, this will be our own revision of Dragon Ball Super, and we will be expanding upon the world building a lot more, so you can expect a lot of new additions to the story that I personally think could perfectly fit in the canon, but of course, that will be just my opinion. In short, I really want to start fleshing out all the very cool concepts that Dragon Ball Super brings to the table, while also improving the power scaling. If you have any ideas and suggestions about the story, you are free to comment. Without further ado, let's start right away with the Battle of Gods arc. In summary, the story of this arc goes like this. The god of destruction, Beerus, wakes up after many years and searches for the Super Saiyan god. Initially, he defeats Goku and the rest of his allies with ease, being Vegeta the only one who was able to barely fight back after having a rage boost. Goku transforms into the Super Saiyan God by following the pertinent ritual. Goku gives a very entertaining fight to a restricted Beerus, but is defeated again, although the Saiyan potential impressed the god of destruction. There are only a few changes and additions I would like to make for this arc. Starting with Gohan, who canonically was using his definitive form, but for this revision, he just uses the Super Saiyan 2 instead. My reasoning is because the Battle of Gods arc takes place a few years after the end of BoG's arc, and at this point, Gohan has stopped training consistently, so losing his ability to use his definitive form is reasonable. This way, Gohan underperforming so badly, in comparison to Vegeta with a rage boost against Beerus, makes a lot more sense. Talking about Vegeta, after the BoG arc, he was able to master and increase the power of his Super Saiyan 2. If you watched my previous GT video, we called this form Super Saiyan 2 Ascended, and it is basically the same state that future Trunks used in Black's arc. Another minor addition related to Vegeta's power is about his rage boost against Beerus, which allowed him to surpass the power of Goku even in his Super Saiyan 3 form. An effective way to explain this huge temporal increase of power is to attribute it to the biology of the Saiyans, which allows them to increase their power by certain emotional triggers such as rage. As an extra addition, whenever the Saiyan has reached the limits of their mortal strength and goes through a frenzy of rage, their bodies are able to tap into partial levels of divine ki, increasing their power immensely, although only temporarily. After all, rage seems to be intrinsically connected to the Saiyan power, as we have seen many times and continue to do so. Time to rank power levels, which for the most part stay the same since the BoG arc. Goku's strength has increased by a few decimals, but at this point, he has reached his limits. As stated earlier, Vegeta now can use the Super Saiyan 2 Ascended, which is still weaker than Super Saiyan 3, but the stamina problems are much lower. By tapping into semi-divine ki due to a rage boost, Vegeta had a temporal power level of 51. Gohan has a power of 43 in his Super Saiyan 2 form, and Gotenks has a power of 52 in his Super Saiyan 3 form, but a combination of lack of practice from Goten and Trunks, and Gotenks just being outright stupid at times, he didn't use this form against Beerus. Tien, Android 18, Piccolo, and Good Buu have power levels of 29, 33, 42, and 45, respectively, with Piccolo showing the major increase of power since the BoG arc. Next, we got Goku Super Saiyan God, with a power level of 66, and besides achieving godly ki, Goku has access to new divine techniques, such as the ability to absorb and nullify energy attacks, advanced self-healing, and use godly ki to restrict and bind the target. There are two additional traits that I would like to give to the Super Saiyan God transformation. The first one is the ability to rapidly recover godly ki whenever the Saiyan is in an idle state. And secondly is the ability to survive any kind of extreme environment such as outer space. Meaning that the Saiyan is capable of breathing without the need of oxygen while using their godly form. I always found odd that despite using a literal god form, the Saiyans are still so limited by their biology. Finally, Beerus, whose full power is still currently unknown, which personally, I find a bit annoying, but since I'm allowing myself to have a lot more freedom with Dragon Ball Super, I am going to give Beerus a power level over 85, maybe even reaching 90. I'm going to get into the whole Beerus power topic a lot more in depth in a future video. The Angel Attendant, Whis, I rank him at the very least, a power of 97. Moving on, we get to the infamous resurrection of Frieza arc, and for good reason. This whole arc is probably the worst in terms of power scaling in the entire series, so I'll do my best to fix this whole mess. In short, this arc goes like this. Frieza is revived and goes to train for months. Then, himself and his army arrives to Earth for vengeance, and despite becoming a lot stronger, he is killed again by Goku. The first and most important change I want to tackle is regarding the training that Frieza went through to increase his power so much in a short amount of time. Even though we were given a decent explanation about how he achieved this, personally, it is not quite enough. The easiest explanation is that he learned to use Godly Ki. With that is much more understandable that the Emperor was able to reach godly levels of power by just training for 4 months. But of course, we also need to explain how Frieza was able to use Godly Ki. Since we have established in a previous video, it is not just incredible hard to do so, especially without a master such as an angel, but also, it is necessary to know how exactly to generate and handle godly energy. An easy way to explain this in universe is that Sorbet found out about the Super Dragon Balls by asking to a very notorious person called Zuno. And by asking him, Frieza will have the answers regarding the best special kind of training that will allow the Emperor to increase his power in a short amount of time, enough to surpass current Goku. Zuno tells the Emperor about the Godly Ki powers, and after a couple of more questions, Frieza has all the information he needs to train to use Godly Ki. After this, Frieza orders his 2 current strongest soldiers to go through enhancement surgeries to increase their power past their limits, and even letting them know that this dangerous process, at the very least, will shorten their lifespans. The 2 soldiers, Chi-Sami and Tagoma, agree to go through the surgeries either by respect or fear. Both soldiers survive the enhancement process, and then they start to train together with Frieza. By using very advanced healing and maintenance technology, Tagoma and Chi-Sami were able to keep up the training with Frieza for months, with practically zero rest in between. Frieza, due to his insane durability, was able to survive the hardships of using Godly Ki, which unlocked his new, golden transformation. Although, he overestimated his mastery over Divine Ki, and went to fight against Goku before he was completely ready. Both Chi-Sami and Tagoma increased their powers considerably, and were even able to use a very diluted version of Semi-Divine Ki. Other minor changes I want to make is related to how the fights goes once Frieza and his army arrive to Earth. Even though I also think that Gohan's combat performance was pathetic, at least it made sense since he stopped training completely, and he became really weak because of that. But even worse is what they did with Piccolo, who we know is constantly training, and despite of that, he just kept being defeated in every adaptation and even died without serving any real purpose to the story. With that in mind, these are my proposed changes for this arc. Frieza arrives to Earth and orders his army to split and kill every human. Piccolo instructs Krillin, Tien, Master Roshi, and Jaco to deal with all the army, while him and Gohan deal with the elite soldiers of Frieza and the Emperor himself. While the rest of our heroes fight the army, Piccolo and Gohan also prepare to fight, but Frieza wants to have some fun against the son of Goku first, so he orders Chi-Sami and Tagoma to not let Piccolo interfere in his battle. Piccolo have a really tough fight against the 2 elite soldiers, but he is able to eventually defeat both of them by taking advantages of his experience in battle and unique abilities. In the other hand, Gohan struggles to even maintain the full power of his Super Saiyan form, but as his fight against second form Frieza goes on, he is able to regain control of his strength more and more. After transforming in Super Saiyan 2, Gohan forces Frieza to use his third form. A worn-out Piccolo joins the fight against Frieza to help Gohan. In response to this, the Emperor decides to use his final form. Piccolo and Gohan fight in synchrony, and they are capable of holding off Frieza for a while. The Emperor, after growing frustrated, increases his power even more by using semi-divine ki, allowing him to brutally defeat Piccolo in a quick manner. Gohan have a frenzy of rage, increasing his power, but is backstabbed by Jinyu, who was able to possess the body of Tagoma, just like in the original story. Both Piccolo and Gohan were defeated, but before Frieza is able to finish them off, Gotenks comes right in time to save them. In his Super Saiyan form, the Fusion Saiyan quickly defeats Tagoma. And after powering up to Super Saiyan 3, he holds his own against a final form Frieza, forcing him to use his fully semi-divine power. Unfortunately, Gotenks' fusion time runs out, but Goku was able to pick up the energy of Frieza and teleported together with Vegeta to Earth. From this point, the story goes very similar to the original except for a few changes. Such as Goku and Vegeta new states, Saiyan Beyond God is basically both of them using semi-divine ki in their regular forms. Also, we put a lot more emphasis in the lack of godly ki control that Golden Frieza has, which ultimately led to his defeat. Also, there is the infamous beam from Sorbet weapon that almost kills Goku. We will expand upon the laser ring and state that it is so powerful because it has stored the godly energy of Golden Frieza and it can be fired at full power only once. This being the contingency plan of Frieza to kill Goku. And probably the biggest change of all is removing the scene of Whis rewinding time. I feel like it kinda breaks the code of neutrality of the angels and also steals the moment of victory Vegeta have over Frieza. In this revision, the Prince of all Saiyan kills the Emperor by himself. This is a big change to the story. If you feel differently, let me know in the comments. Let's start explaining the power levels of the human fighters. Starting with Master Roshi, we will state that he secretly began training once again, shortly after the Cell arc. And I go by one specific panel from episode 369, where Roshi says to himself, in a frustrated manner, that he misses the days where he was one of the greatest fighters in the world. Because of that, is not too far-fetched to say, he have grown a lot stronger since the early days of Dragon Ball, especially considering the long time gap between the Cell arc and the resurrection of Frieza. With that being said, another change I want to make is that Krillin also started training once again more consistently after the Battle of Gods arc, together with Roshi. We don't even have to explain anything with Tien, we all know he is an actual Chad and never stopped training. I rank Jocko, Master Roshi, Krillin, and Tien at a power level of 25, 26, 28, and 29, respectively. Roshi can also use his full power state, elevating his level to 30, although it is still a limited form due to not being able to maintain it for long. Tien also can use Kaioken as we stated during the Cell arc video, although there are more things to come for Tien in future videos. Next, we have the Frieza army, starting with the fodder soldiers, who have an average level of 21. The elite soldiers Tagoma and Chi Sami have a power of 25, previous to their training with Frieza. After increasing their power with artificial biologic enhancement and training non-stop with Frieza, their base power is around 32. And by using a very diluted version of semi-divine ki, which we will just call full power state, their level increase up to 40. It is important to say that Tagoma is specialized on enhancing his physical endurance in exchange of physical strength, while Chi Sami sacrifices speed for more brute strength. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, Piccolo, and Gotenks in Super Saiyan 3 have a power level of 42, 43, and 52, respectively. Although, Gohan full power level varies since he struggles to control it properly. By using the ki of Tagoma's body better, Jinyu have a level of 42. Frieza, in his first form have a power of 34. In his second and third form, a level of 38 and 42 respectively. And in his regular final form, a power of 49. By increasing his strength even more, by using semi-divine ki, final form Frieza have a level of 57. And to clarify, his power is not completely stable since he lacks proper control yet, so if Frieza loses his cool, his power starts dropping. The golden form is achieved by using full godly ki and have a level of 69, but his power after a while starts dropping drastically due to having a subpar mastery over god ki. Goku and Vegeta regular forms have the same power level as last arc, and in their Saiyan Beyond God state, or as we call it in these videos, demigod forms, have a power level of 55 in their empowered base form. By using the new Super Saiyan Blue, both Saiyan have a level of 72 at full power, but they still don't have perfect mastery over the form, so they lower the maximum output of Godly Ki, with the purpose to fight in optimal conditions, avoiding having unexpected drawbacks, such as we see with Golden Frieza during this arc. Also, Super Saiyan Blue trades most of the divine techniques of Super Saiyan God for raw power. Although, it is still possible of using the same abilities once the Saiyans master the transformation, although not at the same level of efficacy. Before concluding with this video, I'll name all the remaining tiers, although they are still susceptible to change in the future. Characters belonging in Tier 70 are capable of generating much higher levels of Godly Ki than characters belonging Tier 60. This tier name is Major Deity. Characters belonging in Tier 80 have extremely high levels of godly power, enough to be considered as the most powerful gods in their respective universe. Originally, I wanted to name this tier as God of Destruction, but I have some ideas to make other deities, such as the Grand Supreme Kais, more powerful in their own way, enough to compete, to some extent, against the gods of destruction. There are also the demon gods and Dragon Ball heroes, who can be very powerful too, and who knows what else in store there is in future storylines. With that in mind, I named Tier 80 as Prime God. Tier 90 is the Angel tier, although I was also thinking something along the lines of Multiversal Gods or something, but either way, I'm still indecisive of what definitive name I'll give to Tier 90. Angel for now is good. Finally, Tier 100 is simply named God, all in capital. Alright, that should be for the video. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel, and if you prefer not to, I still appreciate immensely that you watched the video. With that being said, I hope you have great days to come and see you again soon. Smiley face.